Okay, time for some instant reaction, semi-instant reaction, because it took me a little while to get over it. I'm a Tottenham fan. I'm from the north, but fuck it, I've been a Tottenham fan since I was 10 years old, back when they were shit, and we had players like Stefan Everson, who was actually pretty decent, Alan Nielsen, Tim Sherwood. Let's not go there. Um, so yeah, I've earned the relative success that we seem to be enjoying now. I've not just jumped on the bandwagon. I don't imagine as a club we're at a stage quite yet where we're getting these lots of bandwagon supporters. I suppose that'll be when we finally start winning trophies. But here we go. There's no team that I hate losing to more than Chelsea. Like obviously we got done by Arsenal in the league earlier on in the season, and I was over it pretty quickly. It was a good open game. Arsenal deserved to win. They just wanted it a bit more than us on the day. They were a bit more up for it, and they beat us 4-2, and it was just fair play to them. We don't really have that inferiority complex with Arsenal anymore, so we're pretty much level with them in most ways. Probably slightly better in a lot of ways, but with Chelsea, probably the same as well. We're probably slightly better than them in a lot of ways as well, but there's no team that I hate more than Chelsea. I really actually hate them more than Arsenal, like a lot more than Arsenal. So yeah, it's not it's not fun losing to Chelsea at all. Fucking hate that club. Fucking hate that club. Hate that little rat Hazard. Hate Fabregas, who I don't even know if he's there anymore. I think he's fucking off. Just hate everything about him. So yeah, that wasn't pleasant to lose to them. But moving on to a few points about the game. Second things second. There is just something about the League Cup, isn't there? No matter how, it's never tentative. It's never cagey. It's the semi-finals. I just remember, even as a kid, even watching them all the time, the semi-final of a League Cup is pretty much the highest probability of an absolutely cracking game of football that you can get. There's just something about it. I mean, it's still a trophy. It's not big enough that like it's the Champions League semi-final where you'd be really nervous. It's just end to end. It's open. It's just fantastic. I was a little disappointed there wasn't any extra time. I don't know when they brought that in. I think it was quite recent, maybe even just this season. But if we'd have gone on for extra time, I would have fancied us to win that, because we were really having all the chances and we were having all the breakthroughs towards the end of the game. But yeah, penalties. What can you say? You probably do get a bit of a home advantage with penalties, especially shooting into the Chelsea fans. I was gutted for Eric Dyer because he does seem to hate Chelsea as much as the rest of us. Yeah, I was quite gutted for him, but I did have a feeling he's not the most technical player, is he? I did have a feeling when he stepped up that he might miss that. I didn't think he was going to sky it. I thought it was just going to be the keeper guesses the right way, and it's a pretty comfortable height for him. I'm not quite sure what he was trying to do, but hey, that's part of the charm of Eric Dyer, I suppose. That's not the first time anyone will say that about him. But yeah, not really sure what he was trying to do. Only a few other points, really. I think some good news. Harry Winks looked fucking fantastic. I remember he started coming into the squad a couple of years ago. And I wouldn't say he was a Josh Onoma, but he was just a tiny step above him. He always seemed a little more composed. He always seemed a little more creative, a little more intelligent on the ball. But I was always skeptical as to whether he has what it takes to make it at the top level. I'm still not sure that if we've got a fully fit team and everyone's in their own position, he'd probably be one of the first positions I would replace. That central midfield. For me, that's where we're the weakest. But he's definitely he's growing constantly. Maybe not physically, but he's growing constantly. And to me, he was one of the best players. He looks a bona fide first team quality player now. I'm not sure, like I say, if we get to where we're trying to get to as a club, I'll be very impressed if he can continue to develop into a kind of pivotal part of a central midfield that is constantly challenging for top honours. But if he does, more power to the guy. But he looks very good, and if he doesn't quite make it, he won't be far off. He looks like he's growing in confidence. He feels like he seems to play like he belongs on the pitch now. Like he doesn't feel like an imposter. So yeah, more power to Harry Winks. Fucking exciting to see. Danny Rose looks like he's pretty much back to his 2015, 2016 levels. He's just like Scrappy Doo. He'll just get the shit kicked out of him constantly, and he'll get up and he'll just try everything. He just seems to play like a child in a lot of ways. Like he's very intelligent defensively, but he just seems to have a freedom and an aggression. And when he's in that, I remember Thomas Tuchel saying that when we played them a few years ago, it took him 3 days to figure out how to deal with Danny Rose. I quite like compliments like that because it's quite specific and it seems a bit more sincere and a bit more genuine than just, oh yeah, he's a top player and he's going to be hard. It was, but yeah, he was unplayable, and he seems to be getting back to that level. He is absolutely fantastic, and it's great to see. Overall, and it pains me to say this, I'd probably say Chelsea slightly deserved to go through. Even in the first in the first leg, I thought we were lucky to come away with a 1-0 win. They put the pressure on pretty well towards the end of that game, and we were quite lucky to hang on for a 1-0. And it was a penalty. It was never that conclusive to win 1-0 with a penalty, especially when you were hanging on. So I thought we did well to come out with a 1-0 lead in the first leg. In the first half of this game, I don't know what the problem was. Maybe we just started a little slow again, or the tactics weren't quite right. But they could have been out of sight by halftime. They really could. So yeah, we definitely had the better of the second half. Obviously, we got the goal, and we had a few more chances and a lot of breakthroughs and a lot of breaks and got around their box a lot of time. I don't remember a lot of really, really clear-cut chances. But overall, I think it's fair to say that they probably just about edged it. Which is upsetting because I think if we have Son, we have Kane, we have Ali for this game, I can't prove it. I wouldn't say 100%, but I would probably back us to have that bit more than them and probably end up going through. But it's not 100%. It's a hard game. There's a rivalry. There's a lot of bad blood between the two clubs. They do seem to step up when it matters against us. But I do just think we might have had that edge. But like I say, if you take the three best attackers out of their team, or three of the four best attackers out of their team, they're going to struggle. You do it to any team, they're going to struggle. So it was a valiant effort. It's a shame to go out on penalties. It really is. But what can you say? There's no other way of doing it. The only other thing I would say, and it's a slightly separate issue, but what the fuck is Joe Cole talking about? It really bugs me who is Joe Cole? He was a pretty good footballer. We have no reason to think that he has any clue what he's talking about tactically. So he came out and criticised Poch, saying he got the tactics or the setup wrong in the first half. We were pretty shit in the first half. We were a lot better in the second half. I have no fucking clue why we were better in the second half because I'm not a fucking manager and I don't pretend that I am. And I don't really know enough about football or tactics to know why. But yeah, I'd almost put it down to just a bit more desire. But I'm sure there was some little tactical shift in the second half that changed things. But it pisses me off when these pundits talk like they have any fucking clue. And we've seen it. They need to kind of all collectively wind their necks in a little bit now. Because we saw it with, Gary Neville burst on the scene, and it was unbelievable as a pundit a few years ago. And this is real tactical insight that we're getting, not just Andy Gray pulling around some stickers on a screen. It seemed to be a bit more genuine and a bit more insightful and more interesting. It's an ex-pro who played at the highest level. This is exciting. But then we saw him go and try and be a manager, and he was fucking shit, like absolute shit. And why do they still talk like they have any authority on tactics? It's the easiest job in the world. Just go on, talk a bit of shit. Absolutely no accountability. Absolutely, you get to talk after the fact. You don't have to say anything before the game about how they're going to win it with any real authority or any real, you're not putting your neck on the line. And you can always, even if they say exactly the way you say they should, and they still lose, you can just say, oh, it's because of this, and this is what they should have done. And it's just, it just pisses me off. They don't know what they're talking about. I don't hate Thierry Henry. I find him quite annoying because I just think he's a bit pretentious and he talks too slowly. But I'm so glad to see him fail at Monaco. I'm so glad because he's shit. He thinks he knows what he's talking about, but he just doesn't. I never rated him as a manager. I never thought he would do very well as a manager. As an aside, I don't really think Steven Gerrard will go very far as a manager. I just don't think. He just doesn't seem to me like he'll do much as a manager. Lampard probably has a chance. He seems a little bit more just realistic. I don't know, a bit more intelligent, a bit more switched on. I feel like Gerrard would just feel like pure desire and and pure determination will get him where he needs to be, and that might have been the case 30, 40 years ago, but now there's a lot of tactics involved. I don't see Gerrard doing it, and yeah, I don't see Henry doing it either. I don't hate, like I say, I don't hate the guy who was a fantastic striker. He tore us a new arsehole on more than one occasion when he played against Spurs. But I'm glad to see these people who get paid to talk like they know what they're talking about getting exposed as having no clue tactically. Like I actually think Mourinho's past his best, and I think he's a bit outdated tactically. But it always still pissed me off to see Neville and Henry and anyone criticising Mourinho, for his tactics. Like obviously his man management skills maybe leave a little bit to be desired. But his tactics, yeah, he's on another level. He's on another planet to you. You're just not worthy to discuss Mourinho's tactics. So I'm glad to see these pundits struggling as managers. Long may it continue. Hopefully, it won't. They'll never stop talking like they know what they're talking about. But Joe Cole, yeah, what the fuck are you talking about? Wind your neck in. You couldn't do anything close to what Poch or any of these other top managers are doing. So shut the fuck up. So yeah, all around pretty disappointing. Feel sorry for the players. And it's another trophy that we won't be winning this season, and we can only all support Man City in the final against those dirty Chelsea cunts. So yeah.